Welcome to Press Watch. I'm Oshaka Robinson. Press Watch is a production of the Mass Communications Department at Oklahoma City University. Here on Press Watch, we take a look at national news media coverage in light of ethical guidelines set forth for journalists by journalists. Today we'll be looking at information overload. Can the amount of coverage given to one event ever be harmful? Then, how college newspapers deal with plagiarism. Everyone agrees it's wrong, but do different rules apply to student journalists? Today on our show we have two guests. Peter Wright, a freelance print and broadcast journalist, and Daniel Lapham, a new media journalist for the El Reno Tribune. Thank you guys for being on the show.
Thanks, Oshaka. Appreciate you having
us. Today, our first topic is overcoverage. We have two clips from CNN and how they decided to cover the topic of the Affordable Care Act. It's been in the media for a while today, or for a while recently. There hasn't been any new things brought up. But let's just take a look at how CNN decided to cover the topic.
Those twinkling eyes, that inviting smile, well, you can wipe that smile off that website.
Notice anything missing?
Oh, that lady. Healthcare.gov underwent a facelift. Actually, a unfacelift, you might say.
It's more like her face was lifted.
Her picture has now disappeared.
Disappeared before we even got to identify it. Where, oh where, has the Obamacare website girl gone? Someone tweeted.
We've had these three young people trying to enroll now for almost an hour and a half. Tom Foreman has been with them. What's the latest, Tom?
Oh, well, Wolf, we've had a breakdown here for Hazami. You had given up and said you were going to go to a paper application and then a breakthrough.
A breakthrough. I went to check my email and it had sent me a link to sign up, and I started the process, and it was a very easy process once I got.
So you got a please wait sign right now,
it's
but
processing.
you're hoping that'll clear. But the middle of it seems to be working better for you.
The first time I saw this, I thought they were actors paid to look at those computers. Do you think coverage like this is harmful or damaging to an audience?
Either one. Go ahead.
Well, I'll just say that. It is an important story. When you have such a big issue, a big problem with such a big program that affects so many people, it needs to be covered. In terms of over coverage, I think it could be harmful. It could blow certain things out of proportion and cover up other important stories.
I think it has to do with the quality of what you're covering. I mean, the last part of those clips, that montage that we saw with actual people actually signing on and filling out the forms live, I think that's great because that gives hands-on and it shows, what it is. But them changing the website to Obama Girl and whatever, and then going on, I mean, who cares? Really, who cares?
Right, journalism's got to have a purpose, and where Obama Girl went isn't necessarily that informative.
We actually have a code from the Radio, Television, Digital News Association. It states that guard against extended coverage of events or individuals that fails to significantly advance a story, place the event in context, or add to the public knowledge. Does over-coverage or covering irrelevant parts of the story make it seem kind of like a bigger issue?
Yeah, I think it probably does make it seem like a bigger issue, and as I said before, aside from making it a bigger issue, it is so important that journalism is informing people or helping people in one way or another. And at a certain point, when you've covered all the basic facts and nothing's changing, everybody knows that. You're not really helping anybody.
Well, and I think it can serve the inverse effect of where you start covering things like this, and it's the barking dog in the neighborhood, where you tune it out after so long, and so it becomes irrelevant. Or even if it's not irrelevant, then whenever you have something relevant to cover on that topic, you're on deaf ears because nobody's paying attention anymore. They don't care.
So where would you draw the line between just beating the life out of a story and trying to provide the audience with useful information?
Man, that's tough. Drawing a line has got to be such an individual call. I would hope it comes down to knowing your audience and knowing what you've reported and what they need to know, and constantly trying to move the story forward.
And I mean, I think we learn it in J school. You learn it whenever you're developing your skills. It's the 5 W's. It's the information that allows you to that allows one to make good decisions and be educated on things that will make their life better and make the world a better place. And so whenever jumps into the realm of entertainment, then you know the producers and the journalists have to ask themselves, what's the point? You know, are we doing this to entertain, or are we doing this to actually disseminate valuable information that's going to help people?
Would you say like this? So the second one, would you consider that to be entertainment or news?
The second one, I would consider to be, I don't know if I would call it news. I would consider it to be information.
Okay.
Yeah, that had a point. It is something people can experience outside of news world.
Educational. I mean,
Yes.
you know.
And it's okay if news is entertaining as long as it's
Yes.
informative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we've covered how to deal with too much information, but what happens when the reader is provided with the wrong information? Stay tuned.
There are plenty of teams in every sport that have great players and never win titles. Most of the time, those players aren't willing to sacrifice for the greater good of the team. One thing I believe to the fullest is that if you think and achieve as a team, the individual accolades will take care of themselves. Talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence wins championships.
Meet Sarah Jane. She got her vision checked at school by Prevent Blindness Oklahoma. Prevent Blindness Oklahoma provides free vision screenings to children in all 77 counties in the state. Without this free screening, Sarah Jane's parents wouldn't know about her congenital cataracts. Because of Prevent Blindness Oklahoma and their screening, Sarah Jane will be seeing clear for years to come. Preserving sight, preventing blindness, making every child's vision count.
Get in the game.
OCU is smart, fun, cute, driven, so busy, expressive, exciting. But you know this, you go here. OCU is my school.
Welcome back to Press Watch. I'm your host, Oshaka Robinson, and with me are my guests, Peter Wright and Daniel Lapham. Our next topic is plagiarism. There have been two recent significant cases of plagiarism at two universities. Both editorial boards decided not to name the students in the editorials they released to bring the stories to light. We actually have the editorials. Let's take a look at them now. The Criterion at Colorado Mesa University found at least 22 instances of plagiarism from their online editor. An editorial in the paper stated that the decision was not made to protect her identity or shield her from criticism, and that publishing her name online was too harsh of a punishment for an apprentice journalist. Similarly, Oklahoma State's student newspaper found 6 instances of plagiarism. They justified not publishing the reporters' names by saying that printing her name could ruin the rest of her life with a simple Google search, but that they would fully disclose her dishonest actions to a potential employer. Like everyone agrees that plagiarism is wrong, but is there any difference in how you treat a student journalist compared to how you treat a professional journalist?
Sure. Well, I'd say first of all, with a professional journalist, they're actually being paid to be a professional journalist. With a student journalist, even if they're receiving some school money, there's still there needs to be room to make mistakes and to learn. It is tough because you want students to be as professional and be as talented as working journalists, but I think there's a little room there.
I would agree, room, but also there has to be consequences, and it has to be shown that it's serious. I mean, this is our entire foundation of you know, the Fourth Estate journalism is to you know, be credible, and you lose all credibility whenever you plagiarize, especially to the extent that these students did. But yes, they are learning, and I think that it was handled in such a way that it wasn't covered up. It was brought to light. The students were let go. There was disciplinary action taken. So you know, whether their name should be blasted on the internet, I think that's irrelevant. I think that that was a case-by-case basis that the entities themselves made, and so I think that they did what they needed to do to make sure that it was taken care of, and they weren't covering anything up. And I think that's what's important.
We also have a code from the Society of Professional Journalists that we'll take a look at. It states that expose unethical practices of journalists and the news media. If it's our job to expose unethical practices, how should we react to student journalists?
Well, I think that's the key. Using those examples is the newspapers, the other student journalists around these people who plagiarized, acknowledged it. First of all, they found out about it. They acknowledged it. They ran corrections, and hopefully learned from it. You know, I think that's really the key is responding to it in a professional manner, not necessarily trotting individuals out like you would need to in a work setting.
Do you feel as though if we treat them in a professional way, should student journalists be paid?
Well, sure, I'm all for more people getting more money, but you know, it is. I think part of that is you are learning. So as long as there's classes going on, as long as it's a student publications, you know, not necessarily. It's hopefully training you for an industry that is hopefully going to be there for you when you graduate.
Okay.
I mean, I think student journalists, they do get some compensation, you know, for their time and things like that. I mean, but the end game is the goal is education and training and you know, practical training in putting into play what you're learning in school, and so you know, there is pay there, you know, in the sense that you're gaining the skills that you need to survive in the world of journalism.
Thank you guys so much for being on the show. That's all the time we have for today. Press Watch is a production of the Mass Communications Department at Oklahoma City University. We'll see you next time.